Hi, and welcome to the Back to School Video Hopping Giveaway sponsored by Whimsy Stamps. I am super thrilled to be a guest designer and hopping alongside the Whimsy Stamp Video Team. In order to enter this giveaway for a chance to win the $25 gift card to the Whimsy Stamp store, you do need to leave comments. So for each stop in the hop, if you leave a comment on the video, that is an entry. We will use random comment picker to pick a comment winner from all of the videos, and the winner will be announced over on the Whimsy Stamps YouTube channel in the Back to School video description box. Here is the project that I am creating today. Again, the theme is back to school, so a bookmark is perfect. This bookmark and tags die set is fantastic. It does not come with that magnetic sheet. That is something that I add. I also am using the Fadoodle Stars and the Gnome Make-A-Scene Forest, which is a recent release over at the Whimsy Stamp store. I have cut my bookmark using Copic-friendly paper and used my anti-static tool. I am going to heat emboss the Fadoodle Stars. I chose this particular stamp set because I, one, loved the hanging stars and the doodle drawing of it, but I also loved the sentiments. I thought that they were perfect for an encouraging bookmark for your elementary school reader. I did use some Versamark ink and some gold embossing powder, and then I used my heat tool off camera to heat set that embossing powder. I'm going to do a little bit of masking. I'm going to build a tiny scene. So my rabbit needs to be sitting on the stump, and in order to do so, it needs to be in the front. I wanted to make sure I had it in the perfect spot. Now I'm going to use some antique linen distress ink and stamp my image. I'll then take a Post-it note that has sticky on the back side of it, and I'm going to stamp it a second time, do some very, very rough cutting. I only need the bottom portion of this mask, and then I will place it over my image. I'll realign that stump where I want my rabbit to sit, and then I will stamp it a second time, or I will stamp it using the antique linen. I'm using antique linen distress ink because we're going to do some no-line coloring. I thought since this was kind of in my mind a bookmark that would go to like an elementary school early reader, I thought that a storybook style coloring would be perfect, so I went with the no-line look. Now, if you've not ever done no-line coloring, let me tell you a little bit about the Copic marker process. So when you use Copic markers with antique linen, it's going to absorb into that ink, so it's going to define those lines. So the first thing you want to do is make sure that you go over the lines, and then you want to add your shading. I started with my mid-tone, which is something that I typically don't do when I'm doing Copic coloring, but I wasn't quite certain whether or not I wanted to go with a darker tree stump or whether that E25 was going to be dark enough for me. I drew it out and decided that it was just a little bit lighter than what I was looking for, and so I reinforced all of those same lines using an E27 marker, and then I come in with the E25 and I blend it out a little bit further. I'm going to use the middle of the stump as my highlight, so you will see that I'm working on the left and the right sides, and then I will leave the center of that stump white. I'll reinforce the colors again by going over them one more time, and finally I'll blend it all out using an E23 marker. Next, I'm going to move on to the rabbit. The rabbit is facing more to the left, so I will do the shadowing on the back side of the rabbit. I'm going to use some W markers. I wanted a gray little bunny. Bunnies are some of my favorite creatures. If you have not seen the Gnome Make-A-Scene Forest set, it is filled with fantastic stamps. If you love scene building, then this is a fabulous stamp set for you. I actually have created a second video, which I will be launching on my channel in a few days, and I hope that you come back and look for that video because that card is absolutely adorable. I'm going to add some grass to my scene using 3YG markers. I use 3 colors because I want to get variation in color as well as depth. You'll notice that I don't cover the entire bottom. I do leave white space, and that is just a little flicking motion that I'm doing in order to get those grass strokes. For the bunny, you lose some of the definition if you go over the entire image with your Copic colors. I didn't want to lose the eyes and the nose and have to refine them. So I went ahead and used a micron pen and I filled them in, and that just made things much easier on me. I used a E30 marker to color in the right ear of the bunny, but I do end up coloring in the left ear as well with some of that E30. I'll add some color to the cheeks with the same marker, and then I'll use a white gel pen, and with that white gel pen, I'll draw in some freckles. I want to talk a little bit more about this hop. I did want to mention that the hop is open from August 13th until August 16th at 11:59 p.m. and then the drawing will be over on the Whimsy channel as I indicated before. I will have all of the links to the participants in the hop linked in the description box below. The next person in the hop will be at the top, but if you got lost along the way, you can certainly find them below. All of the additional details for the giveaway will be linked below. I will also link all of the products that I have used. I was so thrilled when I was invited to do this hop. I have been a huge fan of Whimsy Stamps. I think that their slim lines are awesome, and I just really love all of the critters. I'm a fan of many of the artists, and I have enjoyed the video team for a very long time, so this was a joy to participate in. I'm going to color in my stars using some Y markers. I initially thought that I wanted to get a really broad contrast with this, and so I'm starting with a Y19 and then I'll use a Y13, but there's just a little bit too much disparity between the two different colors, so I am going to end up bringing in a mid-tone, which is going to be a Y15. Once I finish this, I am going to color the background using some tumbled glass distress oxide ink, and I am actually going to go over the stars. So you'll see that the stars are going to kind of dull down a little bit, but I wanted to, number one, get the color in the background, and this was like an easy peasy way to do it. So don't be afraid to go over your Copic markers. You can, go over your coloring. You'll notice that I do leave a highlight around the bunny. So I want the bunny to be the focal point, and so I don't color all the way around the bunny. I leave white space, and that's going to automatically draw your eye into that portion of the scene. Now, as I said, I do have a floating set of stars. They're not connected to anything, so I'm going to need to fix that. But first, we're going to use one of the wonderful sentiments from the Fadoodle stars. This comes with words such as you are, reach for the, and congratulations, and then separate stars and star. So my sentiment is going to read reach for the stars, which I think is so encouraging for a new reader. I know that my children absolutely loved when I read to them. They were huge readers. That was one of the things that we totally reinforced when they were in elementary school. So this special bookmark is really going to help encourage somebody to pick up their book and read. Here I'm using my diamond stickles. This is how I am going to connect my stars to the top so that they look like they're hanging from the top. I'll let that dry probably, I think, for maybe about a half an hour. And then I'm going to reinforce this tag. In order to reinforce the tag, I wanted to make sure that that hole wasn't going to tear when I put my paper through or my ribbon through the top. So I have cut out a second bookmark using some inexpensive green cardstock. I added double-sided tape to it. This is going to serve two purposes. It's going to really thicken up the bookmark, number one, and number two, it's going to cover up the coloring on the back of that bookmark. I'm going to thread this ribbon through. the top of my tag, and that's going to be my project for today. I want to thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Make sure to leave a comment, and if you like my channel, make sure to subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. Thank you, Whimsy Stamps, for having me. Have a fabulous day.